Today we are going to study second poem, A Tiger in the Zoo. This poem is written by a renowned Welsh poet who is also prize-winning Welsh poet Leslie Norris. Leslie Norris, he started his career as a teacher, as a lecturer, as a headmaster. He earned his living up to 1974 as a lecturer, writer and headmaster. Afterwards, he turned his focus towards full-time writer. Now this poem, A Tiger in the Zoo, this poem contrasts a tiger when it is in the natural habitat and when it is in the zoo. Now, I will tell you the first summary of this poem. The poet, on a starry night, Leslie Norris, he sees a tiger in the zoo and he sees that the tiger, he moves up and down slowly and quietly in the cage. The poet is filled with pity when he sees the tiger in the zoo, in the cage. The poet, he firmly believes that the house of the tiger is not in the cage, but the house of the tiger is in natural habitat, in the jungle. The tiger, he believes that the tiger should be lurking in the shadow under the tree. He should be lurking in the long grass, waiting for the plum deer to pass when he comes to drink water near the waterfall. But it is sadly, the poet said, that the tiger is in the cage, behind the concrete wall of the cage, and the tiger, he doesn't pay attention to the visitors who comes during the day because they are unfeeling towards the tiger, and that at last the tiger looks at the stars with his brilliant eyes. The tiger looks at the heaven and thinking about when he would live a free life in the jungle. So now I will explain the whole poem line by line. So the first stanza I will explain first. He stalks in vivid stripes. The poet, he refers tiger as he. He here means the tiger. The tiger stalks. Stalks means move slowly and quietly. Here, the tiger who is in the cage, he moves slowly and quietly along the length of the cage. He takes a few steps because he is helpless. He is in the cage. So he moves slowly and quietly in the cage. He stalks in vivid stripe. So vivid means vivid is colorful. The tiger moves quietly and slowly in his colorful stripe. Stripe means bends. So the tiger, he looks majestic. He moves majestically along the length of the cage. He moves in his colorful stripes. The few steps of his cage, as I said, the tiger is helpless. He can take only a few steps along the length of the cage. On pads of velvet quiet, the tiger has a soft velvety plate. The tiger walks on his soft velvety pads. He is quiet, even though the tiger is a wild animal, even though the tiger is strong, but he is quiet along the length of the cage. He is helpless. The poet describes the miserable condition of tiger, who is supposed to be running in the jungle, but he is helpless. He is quietly walking slowly and quietly along the length of the cage. In his quiet rage, again, the poet has repeated the word quiet. This shows that the tiger who is snarling and growling in the jungle, but the tiger is quiet behind the bars of the cage. The tiger is angry, but he is helpless. He is quiet in the cage. So rage means full of anger. The tiger is full of anger, but he is helpless because he cannot do anything against his miserable condition, as he is imprisoned in the cage. So in this first stanza, the poet has described the tiger and his helplessness, his miserable condition. In the second stanza, the poet he talks about he switched from the cage to the jungle. The poet believes that the real home of the tiger is not in the cage, but the real home of the tiger in the zoo, in the jungle. Okay, not the zoo, but the jungle. The poet says that the tiger should be lurking in shadow. Lurking. Lurking means waiting, hidden to attack. The poet believes that the tiger should be waiting in the shadow of the tree, sliding through the long grass, sliding. So the poet again he says that the tiger should be waiting in the shadow of the tree. The tiger also he is sliding, he is moving slowly through the long grass, waiting for his prey to attack. But he is in the cage near the waterfall. The tiger is lurking near the waterfall, waiting for the prey to pass near the waterfall. Waterfall means water body, lake or pond. So he should be waiting for the prey to pass, any animal to attack. When plump deer pass, plump means fat. The tiger should be waiting for the fat deer to pass on his way near the waterfall so that he attack on him and he could have a feast of the day. But the tiger is helpless. So in this way, in the second stanza, the poet switches on from the tiger when he is in the cage and when he is in the jungle. In the third stanza, again the poet goes on to say that what is supposed to be done by the tiger. The tiger should be snaring around houses at the jungle stage. Here, the poet says that again the real home of the tiger is jungle or the cage. So the tiger should be snaring. Snaring means here. Growling. The tiger should be growling around houses at the jungle, at the border, at the boundary of the jungle. The poet here talks about what happens if the tiger fails to get the prey in the jungle. If the tiger fails to get the prey in the jungle, then the tiger would turn towards the town and villages. He would target the domestic animals of the village and the town in search of the prey. So here the tiger should be snarling, growling around the houses at the border of the jungle instead of lying in the cage, walking few steps here and there along the length of the cage, bearing his white fangs, his claws. The poet, he talks about that tigers should be snarling, crawling around houses at the border of the jungle, bearing his white fangs, bearing his ears. Bearing his wing. So the tiger should be lurking here around the houses, showing his white fangs. Fangs means sharp teeth. The tiger should be moving around the border of the jungle where he would show his sharp teeth, his claws, and terrorizing the village. Terrorizing. Means frightening. The tiger should be terrorizing the villagers. He creates a fear. He causes fear in the mind of the villagers. When they hear the growling and snaring of the tiger, they are terrorized, they are frightened when they hear the growling and snaring of the tiger. So the tiger, if he fails to get the prey in the jungle, then he turns towards town and villages in search of domestic animals. They have a feast. So here the poet gives warning to us that today we have created the situation by interfering in the environment that the wild animals would have to turn towards the town and villages if they fail to get the prey in the jungle. The poet, in this way, in the second and third stanza, he switches from the cage to jungle, talking about what the tiger should be doing instead of moving a few steps along the length of the cage. He should be lurking under the shade of the tree or in the sliding in the long grass, waiting for the plum deer to pass to a feast, or he should be lurking at the border of the jungle, snarling, growing, terrorizing the villagers. In the fourth stanza, the poet unfortunately talks about that instead of lurking in the border of the jungle, sadly the tiger is blocked in a concrete cell. So unfortunately, sadly, the tiger finds himself in the narrow cell, in the narrow room. Cell is room. The tiger is imprisoned behind the cell, behind the room, which is made up of concrete, cemented imprisonment. He stands behind bars. The tiger is strong, but the strength of the tiger is wasted as the tiger finds himself behind the bars. Bars means iron bar. Stroking the length of his cage. Once again, stroking. The tiger moves quietly and slowly along the length of the cage. His movement is limited, his movement is restricted to the length of the cage. Instead of running, leaping, jumping in the jungle, he just walks slowly and quietly along the length of the cage, ignoring visitors. During the day, so many visitors daily visit the zoo to have a look at the tiger. But the tiger, he ignores them. He found them feelingless. They lack pity for the tiger. So the tiger, he ignores the visitors. He doesn't show any interest in them because the tiger has lost all his hope for getting freedom. He has lost his hope of escaping from the cage. So that's why he ignores them. He doesn't show any interest in them. He takes no interest in them. In the last stanza, the poet talks about the tiger's miserable condition. The tiger is disturbed during the day because of the continuous presence of the visitors. They make face at him. They prank at him. But during the night also, the tiger is restless. During the day, he doesn't get any type of rest because of the continuous presence of visitors. But at the night also, he gets disturbed by the flashes of the light of the patrolling car, security guard. The tiger is disturbed at night by hearing the voice of the patrolling car. This is the last stanza. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars. So during the night, the tiger feels agitated. He gets disturbed. He tries to get sleep, but again and again, whenever the patrolling car, whenever the security guard, when they visit for the purpose of security, he gets disturbed by the flashes of the car, by the patrolling car, by the security guard, and stares with his brilliant eyes. The tiger starts stares with his The tiger gazes at the brilliant stars. He gazes with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars because the tiger has lost all his hope from the man to get any type of help, of escaping, of getting freedom. So, on a good note, we can say that the tiger has only hope from the stars. He gets relief by looking at the stars. He starts staring with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. We can say that he looks at the heaven for the help. He starts staring with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. He looks at the heaven with the hope that one day will come when he will get freedom, when he will run in the jungle. So at last, I would like to say that the poet, he talks about the tiger when it is in natural habitat and the tiger when it is in cage. Thank you.